join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got a packed house tonight. Thanks everybody for attending. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
Yes, Mr. West.
Mr. Alex West?
Yep.
Wanna come on up and introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like to talk about.
I'm Alex West, the Vice President of the Goodland Raceway. That's what we changed the name to. We was looking to see what we could, if the city had any money to help us out to get some stuff we need to do out there.
What all projects are you working on out there?
We gotta put some catch fence up in several places and wire and all that. There's a lot to do yet. I don't have the whole list with me.
Okay. Anybody have
We're
any?
gonna start the races June 27th, 28th will be the first two races. And then we got July 18th and 19th, August 22nd and 23rd, and then Flatlanders, 25th and 26th.
Okay.
We got a promoter helping us, which is Don Bolt. Some people know him here, some people don't. He's been on the stock car board here before. He's been with IMCA too. He works for the bank in Norton, which is a part of the one that bought out Western State Bank here. So. But he promotes a couple other tracks, and he stepped up to help us to make these races go again here. So we got insurance, so.
Okay. Well, I'll probably tell you what we usually say when we have requests for funding is that we're in the middle of budget right now. So when we get to the part of the budget where we talk about money that we have for donation, we can certainly bring that up and talk some of the commissioners
Okay.
at meeting and decide what we have available. And if that's a priority for everybody, then we'll move that
Okay.
direction. But it would certainly be helpful for us if you had some idea maybe of kind of what you were requesting and
Okay.
could submit that maybe to
I can
Ken or
get
Mary
that
so
to
that
you.
we have an idea of kind of what amount you're looking for. So,
Okay.
but we'll take that under advisement and talk about it during the budget sessions over the next couple of meetings.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. West? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate
I
it.
can leave the schedule with somebody. if they
Yeah,
want.
absolutely. Leave that with us.
Thank you.
Need to have some kind of thing where the mayor can drive the first car in the race. Like the pace car. Pace car. Yeah, I like where we're going with this.
Your own vehicle.
City vehicle there for face cars.
We're gonna take one of Jason's cars. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Anybody else signed up for public comment? Okay. All right, we'll move on to the consent agendas, items A and B. Item A is the 5/18/2026 commission meeting minutes. Item B is appropriation ordinances 2026-11 and 2026-11A and 2026-P11. Any questions, comments, or concerns about the consent agenda?
I move that we approve consent agenda items A and B.
Have a motion by Commissioner Howard,
Second.
second by Commissioner Artzer. Mary, roll please.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland, Cloyd,
Yes.
Archer,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes. Have no presentations and proclamations at this time. We'll move on to item 5, ordinances, resolutions. Ordinance 1821, the extended hours for alcohol sales during the World Cup from June 11th to July 19th. Kent?
Mayor, members of the commission, this was brought to our attention last time by Jeremy Cloyd. Requesting this, the state legislature passed legislation earlier this year to allow this to occur. And Jeremy came forward and requested that the city, if y'all would agree to it, to pass an ordinance to allow it to happen. Doesn't mean it's required, but it would be up to the business owners to work that out. And the resulting ordinance is because of what commission requested last time.
Just out of curiosity, has any other bars or liquor stores in town reached out regarding it?
Not that I know of. I don't know if any of the department heads have been contacted either.
Okay. I was just wondering.
I don't think anybody's reached out to them as well, but.
Yeah, yeah. Just wondering. Interest on it, I guess.
Well, certainly if we vote in favor, I would ask, the chief of police if there's any issues with that or anything that comes up, certainly let us know, so that way we can readdress it if there's things we need to work on to get better, so.
I'll move to approve ordinance 1821, an ordinance authorizing temporary extended hours for the sale of alcoholic liquor and cereal malt beverage during the FIFA 2026 World Cup in pursuant to 2026 House Bill 2481.
Have a motion by Commissioner Cloyd,
Second.
second by Commissioner Howard. Mary, roll.
Archer,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Cloyd,
Yes.
Redland, Showalter.
Yes. Thank you. Move on to formal actions, the Chip Rock bid award. Kent?
We'll turn this over to Kent, Director of Streets and Alleys.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening, Mr. Keith.
Well, we put out bids for our annual chip and seal that we do, and we received 2 bids last Thursday. One from Lance Eyrig and one from Frontier Ag. Lance was at $12 a ton, and Frontier was at $10 a ton, and we're looking at getting 850 ton this year. So we kind of usually go for the lowest bid, so we recommend going towards Frontier Ag to haul our rock in. They'll be hauled in from Syracuse.
Is this about the same, the 850 tons, is it about the same as previous years?
Last year we did 900 ton.
Okay.
I guess if you want some. So the rock price is the same as last year. We paid $32 a ton just for the rock. But last year we had paid $6 a ton from Heartland Carriers to be hauled in. This year it's $10 a ton from Frontier. So there's an increase in there. We did get an increase on our oil price and this year from last year. Could you bring up my 25?
Where is it?
It's in the M files in the street sale project. I'll give you a little price comparison from last year, where we're at.
Do you guys know what streets you're doing this year?
I do have a this is pretty much dialed in. I think I'm pretty set, but I do have 16th Street in the industrial park, along with the east entrance off of Highway 27. We're going to chip it. The state did go ahead and overlay the other side, so we'll kind of monitor it, see how well it lasts for a while. Armory from Caldwell East, Center Street from 8th to 17th. All of the Leo area will be done. Sherman 8th to 13th. 11th Street from Harrison to Eastridge. I say Caldwell from 8th to 17th. Okay. 3rd from Kansas to Caldwell, and Cherry Street from the railroad to 19th Street. So just that one block. So we got that all crack sealed and ready to go, and put a chip on that, and hopefully get a few more years out of that road. So we kind of took the money off of doing that road to do that entrance for the intersection there in the industrial park. So perfect.
You might mention.
You want to click on the 2025? Perfect. Did you want to say something, Chant?
You might mention why Caldwell from 8th to 17th is being done.
Yeah.
Since that was the cost share project.
Yeah, if you notice the mill and overlay that we done, if you start looking, there's starting to be some small cracks already starting to form through there. Those reflective cracks are starting to pop up. So I did get hold of our engineer, and he did recommend us going ahead and get those sealed up. So, I mean, we did stop at 10th there, but to make it more look uniform for the community, we're gonna go to the 8th. I mean, it has been 8th to 10th has been chip sealed within the last 4 years, but that's kind of an emergency route. I kind of would like to keep those up. I'm trying to keep the emergency routes closer to 5-year rotation. It's kind of hard with the amount of money and prices keep going up. So, but here's the 2025 B&H paving. We paid them 55 cents a square yard, and this year I'm at 59 cents. They went up 4 cents. The oil, the Ergon oil itself was $2.88. This year it's $3.17 for the chip oil. Fog oil, they were at $2.86. This year it's at $3. And then I give you guys the rock price and delivery. For B&H to come back and apply our fog seal, that went up from 20 cents square yard to 22 cents square yard. So, but as of right now, we're budgeted about 190,000. You want to scroll down a little bit there? So last year we done about 69,000 square yards. This year with the budget we're looking at 64. So we about the same budget. We lost about 5,000 square yards with price increases. So
But the totals so far with the lowest bid are all included in the budget that we have planned.
yeah, that's like I said. I'm sitting there with without showing the cost of the B&H oil. And the that's an old one. But even though mine here, okay, that's a new one. 176,385 plus your square. You take your 22 cents times your square yardage. It comes out to about 190,000. So we're kind of sitting there right there, pretty close, right there in the budget line. And we do have more in that line item to cover if we do have to go over charges, but we kind of budget at the 190 to make it a good number. So we don't want to spend it all out of there. So
Well, thank you for all the information. I know it kind of goes out of the scope of what we're talking about, but it's good to know.
but that's basically what all the chip rock's going to go for. So, but I recommend going to Frontier Ag if you guys have any.
The other thing you might mention is that the sealing of the streets occurs on 12-year schedule or something like that.
We're pushing 12 to 14 years on a rotation. It's out there. That's why I'm trying to get those emergency routes, still keep them, and then kind of, the residential, they're kind of falling off a little bit because prices just keep going up. We got to do with what we're allowed. And most of our money that we use for this is out of fuel tax. So that's basically what the state gives us. I think you guys do additionally put an additional 30,000 into a SURF account. So technically, if you take that 30,000 off, you guys are. We get about. I think we're right around 140,000, maybe, Mary, on fuel tax.
That we get a year?
Yeah.
About 120.
120. So I don't think I spend all that money out of that CIP every year, so we have a little bit additional to keep that, get it a little higher for this year. So
Or just in case funds.
Some of the street crews had a conversation with a resident in the Delau area, wondering why it hadn't come around to their turn again. And just wanted to make mention regarding that. It's basically every 12 to 14 years to get to every street in town. So by the time it's the 12th or 13th year, it does look like it's been a long time.
yeah, I had someone confront me last year. It was about time you've been here. I was like, well, wish we could be here sooner, but we got a budget we have to stick to, so it's kind of, it is what it is. So
It's a process.
I mean, back in the day when they were doing three, they didn't do the fog seal, and they're also doing kind of a smaller rock so you weren't spraying the oil that you are now. I mean, if you're putting a sand style down, you don't have to spray 40 hundredths like we are for a 1/2 inch chip. So, but as far as our product that we put down, I feel like we have a pretty good product. And talking to other communities, there's a lot of communities that come and look at ours, and they're like, we want ours to look like this. So we got a good product going. We did switch from Kabitco to Ergon, but I haven't seen any difference with them from product. We haven't been losing rock from it. So as long as we get that fog seal on, it really locks in that rock really nicely. So.
Have any questions about the chip rock bid? If not, I'd make a motion to go with the bid for Frontier Ag at $10 a ton.
Second?
I have a motion by myself, second by Commissioner Artser. Mary, roll please.
Clayton,
Yes.
Artser,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland, Showalter.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry, I gotta get one of those in every now and again. Move on to discussion items. Item A, the wayfinding sign project from Sherman County Community Developments.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners,
Yes.
Josh, do you have my show and tell? That was a look of, no, I do not.
He's got it.
Kent, did you? That's also a look of no.
Coming soon. That's what they're saying.
Question.
I had the best presentation up for you guys. You would not believe how good it
Imagine
was.
it up here.
It was two whole slides. So I can do this without the slides. I was just going to show you a picture of all the waypoint signs that have been updated. So if you haven't noticed, Commercial Signs have been in town the last couple weeks updating all of the signs around town to say this is where things are. They were pretty outdated, faded, and we had some things that the names didn't make any sense anymore. Like we still said Northwest Tech, and we probably ought to say Fort Hays Tech Northwest. So updated that and went with a much more modern design that shows the Van Gogh and a better color scheme. So they're just a lot nicer looking sign. We've come to a point in the project where we would like to continue to do a little bit more, but we have hit an end of our budget.
Oh.
He found it.
It was on
And-
the CCCF email, so then. I
Oh
can see
yes,
it.
I attached it to that. So I'm here tonight to make a request for a little bit more funding. What we would like to do is finish this project off with the big sign at the Highway 27 Cattle Trail entrance at Short and Sons. That was not in our original plan. We have an opportunity to update that now, but in order to do that, we're going to need a little bit more funding. And the reason we're asking is we could do it out of the FCCD budget, but it is going to stop us on funding a lot of other projects for the rest of the year. So you just heard Alex come and ask about the races getting reestablished. We've been approached about that as well. We've got a couple more mural projects we would like to do this year. We've had a couple other requests, one for the mud races that are coming, and I think there was at least one more. Oh yeah, the Runway Revelry, so the airport celebration, they would like to bring in some big warbirds for some static displays, and that's fairly expensive, so they have asked for that funding as well. Without additional help to finish off this sign project, we're going to have to say no to those projects this year, and they're not going to get funded. So what my request is for tonight would be an additional $10,000. We asked for $10,000 from the county. They approved that last week. We're asking the city for 10 as well. That money will go to finish off the sign project and free up our budget dollars to go support these other community activities that we've been asked to support. So.
Matt, I'd like to add, we did apply for it. The reason the big sign wasn't in the project is because we applied for a grant hoping that we would get the funding, but we got turned down.
Yeah,
So that's why it's.
the grant was denied due to other funding. Just like everything, grants run out of money, and we didn't make it on that part of the cut. So, we would sure like to replace that big one. It's just going to cap the project off really nicely to have that big sign updated as well and look like the rest of them. So.
And what will that sign have on it? You said it's right under the Northwest Tech sign?
Yeah. So
part?
well, it's not under it. It's beside it and a little bit back. It's if you take that exit off of 27 onto Cattle Trail, it's just kind of right there. So it's back and to the west of the Northwest Tech sign. So it has some community, it has all the community organizations on it. It has a couple wayfinding things directional there, but it really is just a welcome to Goodland sign is what it is.
I believe it says where Kansas begins.
Yeah.
I think that's-
Okay.
Yeah, that sign.
And I don't have the exact dimensions, but it's big. It's, you know, it's a
Cause it spans like.
Yeah,
like
it's a regular billboard size.
billboard type sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that these other projects, people have come to you requesting help with them. Has anyone come to you requesting this sign be updated? If it wasn't a part of the original project, I understand doing it for the grant, but if the grant got denied, why is it a focus still? If you have
Just-
other projects the community
We
wants
have
done.
had people come to us and ask us to do it.
Yeah, we've had some requests for that too. Plus, it is not go- it's going to be a standout that it doesn't look like the rest of our signage for our town and the theme that we went with. It's the old maroon and orange, where everything now is kind of a bluish earth tone. Well, kind of a live picture, I guess, a skyline picture with the Van Gogh in it. So it's just going to look out of place with everything else that we've done. So it's just a nice finish to the project.
So you guys can pull from TGT, right?
Yes, so that's why we're asking. We've exhausted the TGT funds, which is our duty. We have to get those spent up, but that's what we're balancing where we're at right now. So this was funded with TGT dollars. So the total project, there's my signs. All of those signs outside of the 24 or the 27 cattle trail sign was about a $70,000 project. The cattle trail sign is another $11,000 for an $81,000 project. So what we're asking for is SCCD basically funds $60,000. The county would do 10, and the city would do 10 for the whole completion of the whole project.
So how much have you pulled from TGT this year? What is the limit?
I don't know.
We still owe, what we'll have to pay Leon, or Commercial Sign, is $39,000 to complete the project. We have paid them for $42,000 last year.
But
don't
is
have
that
the
all that
total-
you pulled from TGT
Oh, no.
total?
No,
That's-
I don't have that total number in front of me right now. Amy might have it in her budget number.
So we haven't. So is this sign already, have we written the check for this sign and we're just asking? Okay.
No. The other thing about TGT is those funds are paid quarterly, and we don't know what they're gonna be until after that quarter has come and gone. Fortunately, quarter two was good because we still had a pretty good pipeline crew in town, but they're gone. So we don't know, we have budget projections based on previous years, but that money, we don't know what that check's gonna be until the end of the month after the quarter that it's collected. So we still have 2 more payments coming, third quarter and fourth quarter, but based on our projections from the last few years, we would not be able to finish this project with what our projections set with what TGT will probably be.
So through May, end of May, we're at, I'm just rounding, 115,000, and our first, January we received 108,000 from transit guest tax receipts, and April was 58,650.
Okay.
So, at the end of May, our balance in TGT is roughly $68,000.
So you have that much still to
We have that
spend.
to pay 39,000 plus our monthly expenditures, and we start park and plays and shindigs. That's kind of like my
We're
June
coming into the
budget.
biggest part of when that money gets spent
Right.
now with all the summer activities, plus leading into Flatlanders. All of the, based on the third and fourth quarter projections from previous years, we have that money budgeted out, and there's not room left in the budget to finish the sign project and continue with requests, these new requests that were not previously in the budget. Obviously, with races down last year, we didn't know if they were gonna get up and going this year, so we didn't have a budget line item for them, and now they're going and want support. The runway revelry, that's a hard word to say, revelry.
That's about 5,500.
Yeah. That's not been on for the last couple years, and now it's back on. So some of these came on after our budgets were set, and now we're getting requests.
Curious if we had decided or wanted to assist with this project, do we have money available in a line item someplace that we'd be able to draw from, or are we exhausted by this time?
We do, we have, we had actually had a couple thousand in additional, budgeted for SCCD, because we did the 3% increase for the 26 budget. We also have an amount for, the industrial park sign project, and then, SCCD actually previously had helped us more, originally with the Christmas lights that changed with it. So we had contributed to that, but there's an amount that we have there. So between those three sources, we can come up with the 10,000.
I'll say my last part. The signs look great. I'm glad we got them done. To me, we have a budget to follow, and if this is part of the budget you planned, then to me, the other projects will need to understand they're not in budget. I just know, being a part of our budget planning for 1 year, how tough it is to scrape by on our end, and I mean, 10,000, as you guys know, is a lot of money. So, I don't know, to me, you guys are on budget. This isn't breaking a budget. This is making room for other things you didn't budget for. That's my opinion on it.
For the amounts that you mentioned, would they be able to be spent on other areas? 'Cause it sounds like there was a portion that was
No.
like an SCCD portion of the budget, so.
Yeah, the one or two of them, that's the SCC. It's regarding economic development. Now, the Christmas lights we have an amount because we repair things every single year. Or the electric crews end up repairing stuff and we end up purchasing. So there's an amount set aside that we keep in the budget regarding it. Just like in almost every single department has something dedicated to one of the IRFs. And that's where I'm talking about. That could be adjusted, but the ones for SCCD, which is about 5,000 of that 10,000 total, it pretty much stays within economic development.
If there's money already in an SCCD budget, that's specifically for SCCD, I don't see the harm in giving that much away. It's reaching into our other budgets to get to that 10,000 that I'm not as comfortable with.
But you're really not, Sarah, because
Those lights, that's really kind of economic development. And when they approached us last year with the project, they funded, I don't know how much of it, we put in only $5,000. And it's normally a city thing. I mean, so they really did,
it was 40, like 38.
yeah,
38,000?
yeah.
38,000.
I mean, so they really did fund the Christmas lights when
Between transit gas
it really
and
should have been ours.
Well, and I think if you look at it quite honestly, a project like this is probably a government's responsibility as opposed to a SCCD. And on top of that, the county, who doesn't really have any vested interest in a sign within the city limits, ponied up $10,000 to take care of that sign. So I feel like it's an ask that I think we should follow through with it. I think we should support that.
You know, and they're helping bring other things into town, which brings more people into town, which brings people that stay in town, hotels, buy food, hopefully some gas, that brings more revenue into town that way too.
To me, it makes more sense for SCCD to go through and fund projects like they're doing, as opposed to having everybody come in and say, hey, City Commission, can you give me money for X, Y, Z? You know, we have 2 or 3 things that we can do and that we do every year, but that needs to be their one of their responsibilities. So if we can help pay for the sign and free up their time and efforts to be able to fund those other projects, to me, that's worthwhile.
So then, if we wanna move forward, do we need to make a recommendation or a motion to approve? Or is tonight just to hear about it and then we'll vote on it during the next meeting?
I think we could probably make a motion tonight. We would like to.
So we have the money in our budgets. It's not gonna be an issue. We're not gonna come into budget season and wish we had that extra $10,000.
I'm not gonna have to pass the hat.
Okay.
But it's a good point to make sure that it is there. That it is. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it, but we do have to make adjustments for a number of things each year, so. And this is one of those things that's being requested to make an adjustment.
Well, with everything that's been discussed, I would make a motion to go ahead and fund the $10,000 towards the new directional signage project.
I have a motion by Commissioner Cloyd.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Howard. Mary, roll please.
Cloyd,
Yes.
Archer,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Redland, Showalter.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Yep,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Appreciate what you do. Move on to item B, the water conservation, review of city code and drought monitor. It's raining right
As
now.
it's raining, that's what I was saying.
It's a dry rain.
It's a dry rain.
It's a dry rain.
It's
Is it filling up the water that we need?
You know, as soon as we started talking about this in earnest, then the rains came. So I figured if we keep talking about it, the rains will keep coming. But the other thing that's kind of important, including the drought monitor in the packet, even with the recent rains, it is not going to affect the drought monitor a huge amount. You know, we haven't gotten drought busting rains. We've gotten some decent rain, but it's not a drought busting rain. The one thing I would like to point out this time is that even with the rains last week, even on days it rained, we were still up over 1 million gallons using. And when it gets really hot in the summer, we'll get over 2 million gallons, but it's just a little bit amazing as we've started. Staff didn't track this on a daily basis or had it present in mind to look at it. But if, just as a reminder, our winter usage is around 300,000 gallons per day. So we're still using, even when it's a rainy week, and on the days that it's raining a lot, when the people that would normally run it from their hoses onto their lawn, they normally will stop doing that. But everybody with the sprinkler system hasn't chosen to adjust their behavior even for a couple days, in that we're still 3 or 4 times winter usage. And they're still, obviously during the summer, no matter what day it is, it's always gonna be more than the winter. It's just a little bit surprising to me that it's still 3 or 4 times more, even when we have a wet week. And it's like, it's not gonna hurt the lawn if you don't sprinkle for a day or two, you know. And for our parks, we've actually had the parks shut off for 2 weeks straight. I think you turned them back on at the end of last week, Danny?
On that morning, it's calling for rain that night, so I went a few hours later and shut them back off, and it did rain. But we have not watered a drop for 2 weeks.
So, well, we watered 1 day now in the last 2.5 weeks, is what he's saying. So, so it isn't city's usage on the parks right now. So, but it's just a reminder to keep going, and that when it does get dry, it will get dry again later in the summer. Staff may come to you with a request. And the groundwater management district went ahead. They had their public hearing on the Lima formation last week. They are still gathering comments till June 10th or June 11th. And then they will come out with a statement after that. It's been discussed that that will allow It'll just give the ability to provide additional regulations on municipal customers as well as what farmers are already going through, or producers. So, in the fields. So just realize that the producers and the farmers have been asked to reduce usage by 15–20%, or I'm probably negligent on what the actual percentages are. That the city itself may be asked that fairly soon. So just letting you be aware of that as we go forward.
I was gonna mention too, I had, the caretaker from the community gardens reach out, Jennifer Sanderson, and offer their services, and had some ideas about a social media campaign where we produced a video that talked about water conservation tips. Thought maybe some local business owners might be interested in giving some tips and producing a video, so we'll throw that out. She said she's willing to help with that, so.
And the lady that came and talked about playas in different farm fields has made contact with some property owners within Sherman County and is working on doing that. Would like to reach additional folks to continue working on that as far as recharging the aquifer.
Yep. Okay, we'll just keep asking city residents to continue to monitor their usage and try to reduce where they can. Thank you, Kent. We'll move on to item C, unless anybody has any questions about water conservation. Move on to item C, the draft 2027 budget presentation for the general fund expenses.
I did not have it completed to a point to include it in the packet for your perusal, but have included it at your desks here. The normal budget documents that we provide. One has a budget summary. I'm not going to review that in detail with you, because you'll be your reading material. Each of the department heads put quite a bit of effort into providing additional information, and Mary and Shauna have done quite a bit of work on the budget on each, both the numbers and updating the information within the summary. And what I'll show you on the slides is basically the points to look to within each department. Normally, we're starting a little bit earlier this year because there was, the way our meetings fall, there was also concern by this, caused by actions at the state legislature, that we were gonna have our budget done by June 15th or something, realistic. So we were starting to get prepared, but we do not have revenue figures. We do not have our valuation. So tonight, we figure we would get started with most of the departments of the general fund. There are still some questions on a couple other departments, and rather than present it with the question, we want to have a little bit more solid information on what is presented. So what we're going to go through is a number of departments within the general fund on the expenditure side. And then next meeting, we should have the number just barely as far as what the valuation is, and if Mary and I can scribble enough and calculate and then confirm our calculations, we'll be able to present something at the next meeting. Because we're supposed to receive on that June 15th, the actual valuation figure. So it'll be sometime that day, and then we'll present that night on June 15th. Go ahead, Josh. We'll always start with this. What is our objective for this budget? You know, we want to have secure reserves. We know that the reserves are dropping as we dip into it each year. But we also want to sustain the operations as currently is. That may prove difficult as we go forward through the years, but that's the goal, what we want to do. How we get there is we make investments in staff, we have facility and infrastructure improvements. And with the overriding reason, this is one budget, this is 1 year, but we're always trying to make decisions, what will make Goodland better 20 years from now. You know, some of the big projects, and each department has those type of things. We want to try to make good decisions in one budget year that will help us for longer than that. That's where some of the projects could rattle off about a half dozen to a dozen of them that make sense in the larger term view. Sometimes, and this city has a good mechanism to put money back on an annual basis for those bigger projects. So we can do the $500,000, million and a half project if necessary, because we've saved up for it over time. What we'd like to do with our capital investments is diversify the revenue base if we could. One thing, that's why we're going so hard to help the assistance with the grain mill and commercial bakery in the industrial park, is hopefully the end result of that when it gets built is that it provides an additional base and enlarges the base of Goodland as far as where our revenues come from. It won't be immediately known because there'll be incentives that will obviously lessen the impact of that. But for the long term, it's going to be a lot bigger impact for Goodland. Keep going, Josh. Those are all the departments within the general fund. We're going to skip 4 of those tonight, but we'll keep going. Go ahead, Josh. And we're going to start with police. In your budget, you could look, which is the first one, as you said, or as it said. And Chief Earhart did provide a lot of information. Please look at the information. I'm just going to highlight a couple things. We are grateful that the police department is fully staffed, which is a good thing. It's a hard thing to keep fully staffed at the police department because there's things that happen that make it difficult. And then there is an increased cost in the personnel services, but not an overwhelming amount. That's included there. And the one question you might have on the actual spreadsheet that's shown is currently our financial software, our payroll software, tracks overtime, but it doesn't track it within the general fund line item. So on the previous years and on the current year, it won't show overtime. But then the overtime is part of the budget in the upcoming year. So the total personnel services, sometimes that may come up as a question. There has been overtime during 25 and 26. It's just, we don't put that on here as a general, because it's not accounted for separately within the general fund line item right now. The contractual services, the overall, and when it says total contractual services in the bold there, it shows it at 51,100, and it's just a little bit more than the previous years, 1,000 more, 50,100 from 26. The commodities, well, the reason that's 1,000 more is the professional services had a slight increase, and there's a number of items within the professional services. It's a wide range. And that's in that wide range you'll find in the summary. We'll have the words with it, but. As far as commodities, the only increase is the vehicle maintenance repair. Police chief, increased that to 10,000, and with 10 vehicles, that's probably a small amount, but, that's where we're at. The concern is regarding gasoline and oil. Is that enough? I put enough to the side there. Who knows? I asked that of all the different department heads, and you don't want to over budget, but you want to make sure that you got enough there too.
What happens if we don't budget enough for it? Because it's obviously something we need.
It is something we need. Go ahead.
There's a reserve in the past, when we don't use our fuel budgets, we put money in reserve for
Okay.
years like this year, when it's probably gonna increase high.
Okay.
So that's kind of what the commission has done in the past, is they've elected to transfer some of that excess. Now, last year I couldn't transfer a whole lot, but there was a couple years I transferred quite a bit. But I think we have like 80,000 in reserve
Okay.
to kind of help everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.
So does that get budgeted based on like the current gas price, just since it's fluctuated so much in 2025 or 2026?
Question?
On the budget for 2027, does that use like the current gas price, or does it use like the height of the gas price in 2026? Like, how do we
We
budget
just look
for the
at it,
full-
what it's done in the past, and if we think it's gonna increase, which we know this year it's going to. I don't think we put a huge increase in there, but we have that reserve. So,
And the goal would be that the gas prices go down.
well, it'd be nice.
Yes, for all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
Uh-huh.
It's a tough number to come. It's a guessing game.
Yeah.
And we don't put it to, okay, we're gonna, looking for an average of $4 a gallon or whatever, that makes up the 28,000. Because the number of miles changes as well for our department from year to year. So, the two previous years, we had 24,000 in 24, we had 20,000 in 25. But we were down a person or two, or they were at the academy, so that limits some gas usage. And this year, we're on pace to get towards 27, so we'll see. Is 28 enough? Don't know. On the next page, we have the capital outlay, which is the yearly payment to, is 64,000, and that increase is just with the Axon, which is the, body cameras and everything else. So, and the dash cams in the motor vehicles. So, that as a hefty payment for 5 years, and that's the increase in the budget basically for the police department. And Jason did a real good job putting together. And he had to listen to the city manager kind of ball him out a little bit too, still. When it wasn't justified, but. That's what we have there. Go ahead with the second page, John. Now, the SURF and MRF, now these are the transfers into this capital improvement reserve fund and the municipal equipment reserve fund. We have 3 items, within the SURF. You can see them there. The only one that's new this year, we've had stuff on, is the roof. And then the municipal equipment has, the majority is for vehicle leases, which we have 2 vehicles on lease right now. Any questions regarding the police department? And the total ends up at 960 some odd thousand. But, realize that the increase is with the Axon, which is a decision on, and that's worked excellent.
Is that our new one that we went to, or is that the old one, body cams?
It's a new one.
That's the new one.
Go ahead, Jason, as far as,
Axon is the new body cams we went to.
Yes.
and it's worked out much better, correct?
Yes.
It's made a big difference. There's no other questions regarding police. Move on to municipal court. This is a much simpler one. We've had a move to a contractual position regarding the municipal judge and just a portion of the salary for the municipal court clerk. We need to keep the amounts for prisoner care and indigent defense, 6,000 and 5,000 respectively. If prisoner care ever got to be an issue that could overwhelm that 6,000, we realize that. That's just something's in there. Same thing with indigent care. So, but the budget won't go through too many other items within it. It's kind of just follows along from the previous year. And you're more than welcome to bring back questions next time, since I didn't bring you these pages ahead of time, when we go over some more general fund departments. Animal control. We don't have anything within personal services because we do it through contract. We have contracts with the animal control officer, also for the animal pound. We continue to have conversations to make sure that situation changes or is going to stay the same. And hopefully it's still a couple more years before the animal control officer forces us to go another route regarding it. So, the other items within animal control are basically similar to last year. The one thing that we have in here is the second year for the dog pound area within on the PD property. Current animal pound is on private property, and it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to move it to a city's property. So that's what we're looking to set aside for, to be able to build something and have something available.
How much do we want saved up at the end of this for the pound?
I don't have that figure in mind. I think it's between 30 and 50, but I'm not sure.
Is this
Chief,
what-
That's a difficult question.
Yeah.
Really difficult question. I mean, because some of the stuff, I mean, I feel like Kenton can do anything, so Kenton can probably do the concrete work and some of the building stuff and all that. But as far as we still haven't decided on how many pens. I needed to get an average of what that comes to. It's going to have to be covered. You're going to have an indoor, outdoor. You're going to have plumbing, water, electricity, security cameras.
You'd have people to work there.
Yeah, we would have to either do another contractual with somebody or hire a full-time animal control, which the city used to have a long time ago. So yeah, you're looking at that too. And we'd have to probably get somebody a little bit earlier than if she decides to retire, so they can train with her, because there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And a lot to know. The cool thing with her is she's available a lot. You know, if you hire somebody, they're pretty steady, 40 hours, so.
I was just curious, because this puts us, what, at 20?
By the end of the year, by the end of 27, it will.
Yep. Thank you. I was just curious.
So that's animal control. Any other questions or concerns regarding animal control? Or comments? The next item on the list is van transportation. One thing I wanted to mention is, we had 405 riders in May. So try to give that on a monthly basis to just give people an idea of how often that's used. For a section of our community that doesn't receive a whole lot of other services from the city, so. With this, with the van transportation, we have 2 part-time drivers. We have contractual. We've actually ended up with something that's less costing in insurance, which is surprising. Because we have a minivan now where we used to have a 14-passenger bus or type vehicle. So with the smaller vehicle, it's less to insure. So that's worked out well. That's the little difference in cost that we have with it, with the van transportation. Commodities is a very slight increase at this time. Again, there's that gasoline oil question. The one thing that we did have a big number. We are going to end up, I don't know if it showed on this sheet or not, the one that I printed out, the transmission replacement was done earlier this year on that transportation van. We paid that out of MRF. What we put aside to MRF is a portion of the new van or van maintenance. That's what we put aside, a little bit. The state usually provides us a majority of the vehicle. We end up having to pay for the rest of it. So, and then included on the PowerPoint, we had 6,900 riders in 2025. And so far this year, we've had 2,500. So we'll end up in the 6,000 range again for the year, more than likely.
And any concerns with having a smaller vehicle to transport all those people, or has it worked out fine?
Worked out well. The one thing that was an adjustment is we ended up having basically a policy only 1 person per ride. Whereas before with the larger vehicle, there was times picked up a couple. But in other ways, that's kind of worked out better because then we don't have issues between riders, which has happened. So, so there's a give and take.
If there's only 1 rider per, let's see, route, then I would say there's not a reason to have a bigger vehicle.
Not at this point, not way the rules for how the state of Kansas funds us. So, and that there are limitations. We can't use it for special events.
On the city limits.
It can't go beyond the city limits. It can't.
And
There's
there are
lots of
times-
can'ts.
There are times he has more than one in there, like if he's picking somebody up here and going to Walmart and it's on the way, he'll pick them up and take them too. I mean, it's all
Pretty
I
strict on
think.
hours that they can operate too, right?
8 to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we asked to run for a special event over past 3 o'clock, we got a definite no. That wasn't part of our grant from the state, and we would violate our grant, and they're starting to talk about threatening to take funding away from us. And I was like, we're just helping more people. But that was a no. Nick, anything else regarding van transportation? Fire department. It's combined fire department, and we basically have one line item. Chief James did have quite a bit of good information on this, and actually, go to the next slide, Josh. I made up a second. Items, a highlight from the personnel summary. We have a 3% increase of our contribution to them, which would make it go from 245,000 to 252,000 for the fire department. The volunteers, it's getting really difficult to have volunteers at the fire department. I don't know if you've seen the recent messages from Chief James. They may need to increase the wage per call just for the volunteers. The bunker gear was $2,500 per set of bunker gear 15 years ago. It's now over $4,500 per set. Fire board's setting aside $5,000 per year, basically. So basically one set of bunker gear replaced per year. City Engine 1 was $280,000 when it was bought in 2007. It's now over $500,000. And that's probably with a year or 2 year wait, if not longer. Ladder 1, the 1997 version, would cost over $700,000 to replace. The Sherman County Fire Board has put $35,000 per year for the Goodland District. Now the Goodland, if you don't know, the fire district is divided into 3 districts basically, a Canarado and a Brewster side. Goodland is the middle part of Sherman County, and it basically stretches the entire center of the county. And also regarding the SCBA's, which are the self-contained breathing apparatus, right now they're under the 2013 NFPA, which is National Fire Protection, whatever the A stands for. Standard is $5,000 per unit. 10 years ago, it was less, and they will need to replace in the next few years.
On those SCBA's, is there a certain rule that they have to be replaced in so many years? Like they're only good for this many years? Do we know that?
That's what they're coming to with that 2013 standard, is getting to the point where they're going to update that.
It's like, obviously it's not 10 years. But
And they've had to replace them, so.
just as long as they don't all come do it one time, that would be my fear. They have to be. Okay.
So just letting you know those items within it, I think, they haven't made any request yet to increase more. They're just not gonna be able to do as much as often as far as replacing certain things. Any questions, other questions on the fire department? Street and alley. Personnel is what it is. The bulk fuel remained at the higher level. And Kenton and Mary did a good job regarding the budget summary and the different items mentioned within it. And it does give an updated information on all the vehicles and equipment that the street and alley department uses. The contractual services has, the majority of that is the bulk fuel purchases at $55,000. Just like we've mentioned before, that's a guessing game regarding that. That is, equal to what we've had in the budget, but we usually don't end up expending that entire amount of 55. The commodities is about the same, and there's a number of items within that. The equipment maintenance and repair, which is kind of a line in the middle there, 3060. You can see that it jumps around. One year was at 45,000, another year was at 68,000. That's because it depends on what equipment needs to get maintenance. So this is one of those, even though it's commodities, moves back and forth between line items to cover each other depending on the year. And then, capital outlay, building and land. That's basically concrete work, alleys and valley gutters, basically the concrete that's needed, and obviously there's a picture there of the guys doing the actual work from a couple years ago. And then the item that we'll start out with a number, Ken puts together, and I had a second page. We use our reserve funds an awful lot, or set asides, and then they'll get expended out of the reserve funds. Street and alley, Ken always recommends to put aside money for crushing the concrete, which we use as a base material. Sometimes is used, we end up using it on projects, and it has a couple other uses as well. Chip seal, the Cherry project, which is, they redid the entire road between 19th and Highway 24, right next to the big easel. Now they have the section between 19th and the railroad tracks eventually to do. Actually, it's not as bad a shape as the other block was, is what Kent points out all the time. And is trying to extend it a few more years and keep building this up here to get to the total amount that we'll need. And then replace the underground tanks. With the issue that we had last year with the underground tanks, I don't think I asked you that, Kent, did you?
Everything's fine, just the state recommends us updating our tanks at some point, and we don't have any money to update our tanks. So that's why we're putting that aside for the update the tanks.
That's basically $100,000 project or something.
Those tanks, you don't realize it, but we've been talking about fuel prices and stuff, but when we were able to buy bulk fuel, our prices that we're getting for our vehicles for our fleet in the city is way cheaper than you get at the fuel pump. So at Casey's or the Loop, it's considerably, I mean, you're paying probably 30 cents less than what they are. So
Still higher, but
it's still higher, but it's, it saves the city. I mean, I think the county gets theirs from Frontier or 24/7 and stuff, so they don't have that bulk line item that saves them some of that money. So it's an asset, I think, for the city to keep those. So.
And then the portion set aside for the MRF has those items listed there. For the next tandem axle truck or the replacement of the tandem front end loader, used grader, asphalt zipper, street sweeper, skid loader, tractor to mow right of ways, and the number of items is about 30. Though those items together is about 34,000 more than what we ended up with in 26. We usually, that's one of the places that we start going to reduce if we need to reduce. So we pick on that portion of street and alley. So, but we do what we can. Any other questions regarding street and alley at the moment? Airport. There's a couple different airport funds. I really just did the general fund airport. The contractual has property taxes a slight decrease. That's what we've been told. Equipment maintenance increased a little as far as the commodities. We've had quite a bit of expenditure this year on the airport. That shows in this budget from this year. We're pulling from reserve. And there really hasn't been, there has been some, but there hasn't been near enough set aside for the airport building itself and terminal building, as well as our 2 hangars, as well as the T hangars. We get requests regarding those hangars at various times, so. We also have increased an amount as far as transfer to SURF. 5,000 for the Eagle Mid hangar, and then 2,500 for the airport terminal building. I guess I was getting ahead of myself as far as what was set aside there. So, those are both things that get requests on various things, and we really don't have enough set aside. If it gets to be just like this year, it got to be more than what we had budgeted. So. But it's just something ended up having to do. Any questions regarding the general fund airport? We'll have another airport next meeting, which is a separate little deal, fund by itself. So, and on the next item we have parks. Danny did include, I get kind of amazed as far as all the different items or equipment they end up using. He included a list and the year it's made. Nerd information. So, we have personnel services is just the scheduled increase. Contractual services is at the same, no changes on that amount. The total commodities, Danny does a pretty good job trying to cover everything he's asked to. Because of all the different park areas we have. And then there's no capital outlay. We do have an amount set aside within MRF. And one item we have on here is to have park improvements or equipment replacement rely on grants or donations. Is really an issue. We don't really have anything set aside in capital outlay. We don't really have any set asides within SURF. People have continued to bring requests for additional projects. The last couple of years, we've done a shade structure at Stever Park. And now that's generated, why can't we do that on this playground equipment or that playground equipment? The pickleball surface got redone and it's actually increased that usage and exposure in Chambers Park. The basketball goals over in Phillips Park. All of those we've been able to do through grant, but then we have try to use the money from special parks, which is liquor tax that comes back to us. It's required by statute. A certain amount of that liquor tax funding needs to be spent in parks, so that's why it's accounted for separately in a special park fund. We use that for matching those grants, but we only end up between 8,000 and 10,000 per year. Now we could ask people to drink more, but that has a limited return. And then on the municipal equipment reserve fund, we have 14,000 to go towards park equipment, which is just 2,500. It's like the playground in one of the parks right now really needs to be changed out because of vandalism.
There's a slide, right?
Yeah, if we replace the whole playground equipment, it would end up to 75 to 100 grand. So you might be able to get a model that's 50 or to 70 grand, but don't know. And that's increasing right now. So 2,500, that's going to take us quite a few years, obviously, to get to that point. There's the ZTR mowers, which they spend enough time on the mowers, they need to have good working equipment, and the utility gator, they use that as well, quite a bit, and then also the IT backbone for those parks as well.
This is a different fund than the pool, right?
Yes. One of my favorite topics, the pool. I say that sarcastically. The next fund is the cemetery. We have a little bit of increase regarding the professional services. That isn't a huge amount. And actually the overall is less in that category. The building maintenance and the equipment maintenance, there's a tad more, $500 more. Just because the chapel still needs some additional work at some point, and the caretaker said. And then, and that's what the transfers to the reserve fund, chapel roof and maintenance shed, just for things coming up in the future. And then the amount for the kiosk. I did include the next page, Josh. The cemetery improvement fund is a separate fund accounted for outside the cemetery, outside the general fund. That's where our lot sales go to, and also burial permits. And they'll also have revenue for the tree fund or revenue for the fence fund, which sometimes is in when you have the funeral services. They'll have requests, donations go to that, and that's where it goes to here. So it can be used at the cemetery. The expenses we have set aside for the buffalo grass, the herbicide, the fence, and the building improvements. The main thing is we're putting aside $15K for a land purchase, because eventually we're gonna have to buy some additional land to add on to the cemetery. We've done that for a couple of years now, but it's gonna take some money. Any questions or concerns regarding cemetery?
On the cemetery, as we were talking about just the cameras during the last commissioner meeting, does that get accounted for in the cemetery expenditures or the cemetery improvement, or something completely
I
different?
believe I took it out of this improvement,
Improvement, okay.
because this general fund is very limited budget.
We have a estimated the target date when we feel like we're gonna be in a position where we have to buy more land. We're talking
The last
20
estimate I
years.
had is about 10 years.
10 years.
Now, that's not like every space is sold or occupied, but it gets to the point where there isn't enough room to keep somebody, so.
Are we gonna be able to buy land right there around the cemetery?
That is a process to go through, and there are ways that we may have to proceed in order to get that accomplished. Whichever direction we end up going with it.
Cause see, we were just out there for the Memorial Day thing, and it is definitely filling up quickly.
Well, and then as far as lot sales, you know, people will buy too many at a time, and then they don't use them, and then you have spaces where you wouldn't expect spaces, and that gets difficult. So, in more ways than one, because when you sell the lot, it's like you purchase a house.
Revenue.
That person owns the lot.
Can they sell it back to us? Is that a thing?
How, it's the only way they can,
Okay,
and we'll pay the price that they paid for it.
okay.
We will
Interesting.
not pay them anymore.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then the new people will get
You've never seen the Walmart section of the
the cemetery.
So, that's basic the cemetery. Next fund is recreation, which there really isn't much difference from the previous year. We do have two items within surf. We increased the amount for resurfacing the tennis courts, because that will be within the next decade or so too. We worked with the school district the last time on the resurfacing the tennis courts, but it's not just the school district and it's not just us. It's kind of one of those combination things. And then there's an amount for infield conditioner in there as well. We do have an amount set aside in the surf to replace the netting for the playground. And at some point, we'll need to replace the roofs at both complexes. And we're looking at additional concrete pads under the bleachers and some other stuff out there. All for amenities for our town. And then the final one for tonight is the water park, the pool. We have little change as far as the amount expended for personnel. That's getting more difficult. Insurance is a little bit down, which is a little surprising to us. That's why it went down to 4,800 for this year. And that was, unlike other insurances, the two previous years, 11,000, 13,000. So it's accounted for differently. There's no changes in commodity, and then we might have a project in capital outlay, and we do have enough set aside in reserve funds that we might be able to do that. The water slide, we may have to redo the slides and recoat them. I forget the actual technical terms that are involved with that. Basically repair it and put a gel coat on it again. End up around 50,000, 51,000 from a company that exclusively does that. For a new set of slides would end up 200 to 300 grand, if not more. So if we can make this set of slides last another decade, longer than that, it would be good. That may seem like a big amount, 50,000, especially when the pool itself, it's about 100,000 in the red, or a little more than 100,000 in the red. But it's an amenity, but it does cost money. And there's not going to be a way we can raise fees to cover that 100,000. So that's what we have. So those are the items for this meeting. It's really just an introduction. We have all the utility funds next time. We have the 4 remaining parts of general fund. And the biggest, most important item is the revenues for the general fund. But then we have the utility funds and we have all the other funds yet to go. And then staff will come to you with questions. We're not asking to expand staff. Staff remains lean. Contracts will be covered. We'll cover economic development next time of the contracts that wasn't covered. We do need to strengthen revenues long term, or eventually we're going to have to reduce services. And we'll talk about those other funds next time.
Are we still working with, the company slips my mind, but they were helping us with our utilities to help with revenues?
Waterworth?
Waterworth?
Yes, we're still talking with them.
Perfect.
And in a couple more months, we'll have enough information, you know, we did that change regarding electric rates, although it really wasn't intended to increase revenue. It was just a different way of billing. And we'll give you the results of that.
Do you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the budget presentation?
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, look, you're next on the agenda. Move on to reports, city manager.
Manager memos including your packet next week on Monday. We'll give you a little more formal information as to confirm things with the county and the school. They've confirmed the date, as just as far as whether it's at the Woolnock building or it's at this place here. As far as the presentation, I think it might work better here, but have to confirm that. And the two other boards are invited. So we'll let you know just next Monday.
Is it still at 5? For sure.
Unless they tell me something different, say they can't. School board's actually having their regular meeting after that presentation at 6 o'clock, so. There's a league, Kansas Municipality City Forum this week in Oakley on Wednesday, on June 3rd. They'll just follow up from the state legislature and also an opportunity to meet neighboring cities, those type of things. Audit presentation will be at the next meeting. The audit's been completed, but he needs to write it up, so.
He don't write it up, he needs to report it.
That too. So Harold is the one who does our audit, so. And that's all I have.
Don't put him on the first of the agenda this year. I think he about had a stroke last year trying to run up the stairs. Put him number 2. All right, any questions, comments, or concerns for the city manager? Hearing none, I'll move on to commissioner reports. Start on my left, Commissioner Howard.
Just like to say the cemetery looked really good on Monday. It's really amazing when we get some rain. It looked really nice out there. Joni does a really good job.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Archer?
We have made it to the pool 2 or 3 times already, and it's a lot of fun, and it's packed basically. So I'm excited. I'm gonna take the baby all year or all summer. So just thanks for continuing to take care of that and make that an amenity for this community because it is needed. There's a million kids there. It's crazy.
Thank you. Commissioner Cloyd?
Echoing what JJ said about the cemetery, and just thank you to everyone who helped with that Memorial Day service. It was really nice, and the dedication to the graves was great.
Thank you. For the mayor's report, I don't have anything to add. I'll move on to number 9, and I would make a motion to go into executive session under the authority of KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which will be deemed privileged in an attorney-client relationship.
One second.
I have a second by Commissioner Howard. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Need 5 minutes.
Okay.
5 minutes work, Kent? Call this meeting back to order. I believe at this time we don't have any formal action, but I think we have some direction that we would like to give city staff as far as putting together a lease agreement for Eagle Med at a month by month right now, with some language in the lease to indicate that they can't be an absentee renter. They have to have a plane in the hangar. Would that be the general consensus of the rest of the commission?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That would be then our direction, Mr. Brown.
Okay.
We have anything further that we need to discuss tonight? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Howard,
Second it.
second by Commissioner Cloyd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah.